Hello, my name is Bart and I am a WeakAura / add-on developer for Liquid Guild. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about AuraUpdater, which is an add-on that I've been developing for the past half year or so. So the goal for this add-on is to help you with any WeakAura / add-on related issues that you might face during progression. You can open the add-on either by clicking the minimap icon over here or by typing /au. And what you are looking at now is the Update tab, which brings us to the main function of the add-on, which is keeping your team's WeakAuras up to date. So as you can see, there are 3 WeakAuras listed here, and these are the liquid WeakAuras for the upcoming raid tier, Undermine. So the red text tells you how many versions out of date you are for this WeakAura, and you can simply update them by clicking the button on the right. So let's update this middle one. You just click it and then press import as you would for any other WeakAura. You can see it's just been imported and the entries disappeared from the list because it is now up to date. So anytime a new WeakAura version is available for any of the liquid WeakAuras, the add-on will notify you of it. And it does so either by making the minimap icon red, so by default it is white, or optionally it'll give you a little pop-up window whenever a ready check happens. And you can then proceed to update the add-on through WowUp, and then you can just simply update the WeakAuras from the interface right here. For the Liberation of Undermine WeakAura pack, it's good to mention that it is already available through AuraUpdater. So contrary to previous tiers, you won't have to wait for the race to be over before you can import Liquid's auras. The mythic specific auras that Liquid prefers to hide from competition until we pull the boss are not in the pack yet, but they are added as soon as we kill the boss, so you'll never have to start progression without having them. So besides making sure that your own WeakAuras are up to date, AuraUpdater also lets you check if your group members' WeakAuras are up to date. This is of course extremely important during progression, since auras being versions behind can cause players to see incorrect assignments, which can then lead to wipes. You can see in this list that my Liberation of Undermine and Liquid Anchor WeakAuras are quite a few versions out of date, and this of course matches what you can see in the Update tab over here. You can also see that JPC's Liberation of Undermine pack is 8 versions out of date, and that everyone else's WeakAuras are fine. So checking other people's versions through AuraUpdater does require them to also have the add-on installed. In addition to checking your group members' aura versions, the add-on also checks a number of other things. So first we have the MRT node check, which basically just checks if their MRT node is the same as yours. We can see in this column that my Warlock's MRT node is different to mine. And since I'm the group leader, I can just open up MRT, I can send the note, and we should see this X disappear now. And there it is, my Warlock's MRT node is now the same. This is pretty important for progression, since obviously if someone's MRT node is different to yours, it can mean that they get different assignments, and that can again wipe your raid. Next there is the ignore list. This checks if any of your group members have other group members on ignore. So we can see here that Max has Triney on ignore, typical. And this is not as obvious, but group members having other group members on ignore can actually break auras that broadcast information and communicate between members. So a recent example of this is the Dispel macro on Brute Twister or the Private Aura macro on Fyrak. And that in Undermine there are again mechanics like this where you have to press a macro and it breaks if your group members have others on ignore. And then lastly there is the RCLC version check. This is just here because RCLC tends to break if your version is out of date. And if you don't use RCLC, you can simply ignore this column. Then for some additional features, we have the settings window, which can be opened by clicking this cogwheel in the top right. First off, we have these 3 checkboxes. The top one lets you hide the minimap icon when all of your auras are up to date. So let's say I update both of these auras, this minimap icon will disappear. Then there is notify on ready check, And this is the little pop-up window I talked about earlier, which tells you that your auras require updates whenever a ready check happens. And then lastly, the third checkbox lets you disable bigwig settings that clash with liquid WeakAura assignments. And if we hover our cursor over this little checkbox thing, we can see that in Nerubar Palace, there's 3 things that get disabled. First, we have experimental dosage assignments on Brood Twister, along with voracious worm marking. And then on Ansorek, the reactive toxin assignments are disabled. This checkbox is enabled by default, so as long as all of your group members are running AuraUpdater and none of them actually explicitly disabled this, you should have no issues with bigwig's assignments clashing with the liquid assignments. Then at the bottom of the settings window, we have the nickname option, and this lets you set a nickname for yourself, which can then be used in MRT node assignments and MRT node reminders. I particularly like using nicknames for MRT assignments while not in a group, because it means you don't actually have to remember people's character names. I could just write Bart or Max, etc. So you can also choose to display other people's nicknames instead of their character names on your raid frames or on your MRT cooldown tracking icons and bars. They currently work with these 3 raid frame add-ons, and you can find instructions on how to set them up by hovering your cursor over them. Nicknames will also show up in Liquid raid leader lists, making it a little bit easier to do callouts based on them. Do note that for nicknames to work in MRT assignments specifically, you do need your whole group to be running AuraUpdater. So let's just try to set a nickname for myself. I'll put in Bart, and you can see when I put this in, boom, it changes on my raid frames, and it should also be changed here. Yep. AuraUpdater also provides you with a number of quality of life improvements for the Liquid WeakAura pack. So to start with, I often make use of this load never option to toggle auras on or off, and when updating your auras through AuraUpdater, this setting is always preserved. Meaning that even if you check the load conditions box when updating your auras, this option always stays the way you had it configured. And this is a good thing, because I do sometimes deliberately change load conditions, and you should update these. So AuraUpdater also adds a bunch of AI-generated text-to-speech files, which do sound much nicer than the in-game text-to-speech. The Liquid Undermine pack, of course, makes use of these, and without AuraUpdater installed, you would just hear the regular in-game text-to-speech instead. And just to illustrate the difference, we can listen to a comparison of the in-game text-to-speech right here.
AuraUpdater.
And the AI-generated text-to-speech.
AuraUpdater.
So obviously the second one sounds much better. And finally, AuraUpdater makes it so you can easily configure the look of your Liquid WeakAura packs through the Anchor pack. And this works with width, height, fonts, font size, bar textures, and group grow directions. So let's take a random bar in the Undermine pack as an example. So here we have a regular Liquid WeakAura bar, and it looks like, you know, they always do. Just a solid plain background and the same font I always use. But let's say you don't actually enjoy the look of this and you want to change it. So what you can now do is go into the Anchor pack. You can navigate to the bar section and you can just change what they look like in here. And this will apply to all of the bars that are in these packs. So let's say I want to use a different font. I like whatever, this Morpheus font, beautiful stuff. I'd like the bars to be a little bit less tall. So I can go to position and size settings, maybe make it 30 instead of 40. And I hate this solid background texture. I want something more spicy, like the, the Blizzard Maelstrom texture. Yeah, that looks amazing. So we can go back to the WeakAura we were previously viewing that is in the Undermine pack, the backfire damage ticks. And as you can tell, it now looks much better. And this applies to all of the bars in the WeakAura pack. And the same goes for text WeakAuras and icon type WeakAuras. All right, and that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the product. The link to my Patreon where you can get AuraUpdater is in the description. And not everyone in your guild actually has to subscribe to the Patreon. Just one person can do it and share it with your whole team. And your whole team will be able to easily update the add-on through WowUp. In addition to the add-on, subscribing to Patreon also gives you access to my Discord, where I can help you with any progression WeakAura issues. I'd also like to add that I do plan to release the full WeakAura pack for free shortly after the Race to World First. So the Patreon is mostly for getting the auras while the Race to World First is going on, and for the actual AuraUpdater add-on that lets you easily update them.